Hello, sippers. I'm Martia.
I'm Renee.
And I'm Demetrius.
And welcome to today's episode of Sip and Unwine True Crime Podcast. Hey, ladies. Hey, sippers.
Hey, guys.
Hey.
We back.
How are y'all doing today? Oh, my goodness.
Well.
When you start like that, what's you going to say?
I was going to say it in Spanish. Estoy contente.
You're good?
Ooh.
What's that mean?
Oh, good.
Look at that.
Oh, that's good. How about you, Renee? How are you doing?
I am great. I am enjoying this last day of my vacation that I had all week, and I have to go back to work tomorrow. So I'm trying to,
Get your
enjoy
mind
this
right.
last day and, just enjoy before I have to log back into my computer tomorrow morning and, go through all that email crap and, get back into work stuff.
Did you do anything exciting while you were off last week? Did you go on vacation or go out of town or anything?
I did absolutely nothing. Nothing outside the house.
I think that's a lie. I think it's a lie.
I do too, Demetrius.
I wish I did go.
Renee be living a whole secret life over there that we don't know nothing about.
Thing we know
I promise you, I really don't be. Y'all be thinking I don't do anything. I sat at home. My highlight was I think I went to Marshall's and I went to
Risky
to Dillard's.
Oh, okay, big timer.
Right.
Look at you doing it.
Looking for the clear. Actually, looking for the clearance stuff off of the swimsuit. And if you guys do not know, if you guys want some really good swimsuits, I tell you guys this every year. Dillard's has some really good swimsuits, but you only get them when it's on clearance at the end of the season for the next year. So you can get some, swimsuits that are like $150, $180 regularly, and it's like $36.
Oh, okay. So, I got to remember to go on there because you do tell us, and then I always forget because I'm I'm a Shein bathing suit girl myself.
Oh, okay.
So I always forget.
Been online with that. Wow.
See, I need stuff with tummy control and all that extra shit for your boobs to hold it up. I need underwire.
I'm high waisted all day.
Okay, and they be so cute on you though. They be so cute.
Thank you. And boy short me, please.
Okay.
I'm not doing cheeks out over this way.
But that's all I did. I did that, and then I also should be having a whole bunch of Amazon packages delivered throughout the week next week. So that'll be exciting. For me being up all night.
You gonna do an unboxing video on the channel or whatever?
There ain't even nothing exciting.
Whoa!
I got like one of the portable batteries. I got a case for my phone. I got one of the camera.
You should see my face.
I know, right? The camera, the little slot that you put in front of your camera so it doesn't, so you can close it off just in case the government looking at you.
Oh,
yes. I guess I use tape, but okay.
She's bougie. Bougie.
Actually, the story behind that is I did have a piece of tape on there, but my daughter was using my computer and she needed the camera part for school. And so she takes the tape off, but then she folds the tape in half. And I'm just like, why'd you fold it? Now I can't stick it back up there. And use some, that painter's tape so that it doesn't leave, the residue or whatever. So
okay.
So that's why middle of the
after
night,
you finish.
Yeah, go ahead.
So I remember back in the day when the whole camera thing on computers was kind of new. And I remember telling Renee about me covering my camera back then.
She was a crazy shit.
She was like, you so paranoid. Ain't nobody looking at you. And I've been doing that ever since I bought my first computer. What was that? Early 2000s when they had the cameras on there, or mid 2000s, whenever that was. Girl,
always. The government is not looking at you guys. And then I realized later on.
But you know what the funny thing is?
Have access.
The funny thing is, it's in the handbook though. When you buy your electronics, it says it in very small print. We have permission to go through, look, search, and
girl,
it tells you.
I never even read that. I just always assumed whoever put this camera here, there's someone on the other end of it. Whoever created apps, there's someone on the other end of it collecting up your information, your pictures, your private info. I just always looked at that as, from day one. And I never wanted to use app, but they made you get rid of your phones and upgrade to the whole new apps and 3G and all that mess. So I was paranoid Paula back then, but girl, today, ooh, child. Don't Google me.
On me.
But anyway, ladies, so what are y'all sipping on over there today? I'm going to start with myself. Today,
yes, because you are really crunk.
I know what you got over there.
Over there.
Today I'm sipping on Southern Sass wine. It's a wine from the Cottage Vineyard and Winery. That's it. So this is one of the wines from our trip that we took several weeks back to.
That was one of the good ones.
The North Georgia wineries. Yeah. So I saved the best for last. And oh my goodness, it's so good. It's 13%.
You can literally drink
alcohol by volume.
So
exactly. Right. It is so delicious. But you know what is perfect? I have the wine with crushed ice. So it's not really a slushy, but it kind of reminds me of a slushy. The only thing I'm missing is some fizz, like some Sprite or some ginger ale, and it would have been perfect. But yeah, that's what I'm sipping on.
But she extra fancy, isn't she? Well, I'm gonna go before Demetrius because Demetrius always be showing us up on her drink.
Right.
So.
Okay.
So I'm gonna go next, and I'll just let you guys know. I'm doing it simple. I just have some Crown Apple on the rock because you can drink that straight. That's like one of the few things that I can drink straight. I can drink that straight and that Ciroc pineapple vodka.
I see the hair on your chest sticking up today, sis.
And it do what it's supposed to do. It do what it's supposed because I need that before I, chill into, get into that work mode tomorrow. So yeah, that's what I have today.
Okay, with your unwind beverage.
Right.
All right. Well, ladies, I'm drinking on a Sonoma. I've had this many times at the club. It's yes, it has Chardonnay and Calvados. Calvados is like a little mixture a little mixture. Yeah, it's good. And it has honey syrup, which I only had like so much, but it need 2.5 teaspoons. But I only had like a little ounce. So
okay, bougie Betty.
Yeah, it's good.
That sounds good though.
It does sound good.
Yes, it is good. I'm telling y'all, I should be a bartender. I don't know.
Okay, ladies. So I'm glad y'all got some pretty, strong drinks today because this case right here, first of all, let me just warn you, it's going to be all over the place because it's a lot.
No. You just already going to say
it's a lot. Yeah, it's a lot. The crime itself is just crazy, but more so than the crime, the background of the criminal, it was like I was split 50-50 between what do I want to dig into more, the crime itself or the background of the criminal. So yeah, pretty interesting crime today, ladies. Sippers, today's case takes us back to the year 1993 and over to the state of Virginia. And this is the disturbing murder for hire case of Marlon Williams and Clark Bedsole. The victim in this case is Clark's estranged wife, Helen Betsell. Helen Betsell filed for divorce for the first time in 1985. The working mother of 2 teenage children felt she had suffered enough. Her husband, Clark Bedsole, the owner of an electrical contracting company in Deep Creek, Virginia, had been a lousy husband. He abused Helen physically, he spent a lot of money on cocaine, and he ran around with other women. He tried to control every aspect of Helen's life. Concerned about the financial cost of a divorce, Clark talked Helen out of divorcing, and he promised to be a better husband. Isn't that crazy?
I'm sorry.
After all that abuse and stuff.
Yeah.
6 years later, Helen tried once again to get out of her marriage, but this time with the determination and a more aggressive attorney who demanded 50% of the marital estate. Clark was infuriated by what his wife was attempting to do, and he looked at it like she was trying to ruin him financially. So Clark, in turn, he hired an equally aggressive attorney, and the battle begun. On November 9th, 1993, 1 week before getting her divorce and the settlement she fought over for the past 18 months, someone broke into Helen Betsole's house in Geneva Shores, Virginia, and shot her to death.
Oh, my God.
All right, y'all. I had to take a deep breath on that one. Marlon Williams, he grew up with a troubled childhood. His aunt, Jean Brooks, agreed to take care of Marlon when his mother enlisted in the military. Marlon went to live with his aunt over in Las Vegas, Nevada when he was about 1.5 to 2 years old. His aunt, Jean Brooks, described her nephew at that time as being bright, happy, and loving. Marlon became very attached to his aunt and uncle. However, when Marlon was around 5 years old, his mother left the army and she reclaimed custody of her son. Several years later, when Marlon was about 10 years old, his aunt Jean remembered seeing him at a family reunion, and she said that Marlon appeared to be very withdrawn. And she also found out during that time that Marlon's stepfather had been beating on him and treating Marlon worse than he treated his own child, simply because Marlon was not his real son. And that's sad. Like I said, like from the age of like 1 to 2 years old to when he was 5, he had this great relationship with his aunt, living out there in Vegas. Everything is good. But then he moves with his mom back over to the East Coast. And by the time he was 10 years old, he had been suffering from a few years of being abused and mistreated by his mother and stepfather. In 1983, Marlon's mother severely beat Marlon with a television stand. During some counseling sessions following the incident, Marlon's mother and stepfather, they confessed that they believed firmly in corporal punishment. And on April 29th, 1986, about 3 years later, the Department of Social Services removed Marlon from his mother's home after she had severely beat him with a broomstick. It was at that time that Marlon was placed in a foster home, which later he was removed from the home because he became uncontrollable, and he also threatened to burn the foster house down. So subsequently, Marlon was sent back to Las Vegas to live with his Aunt Jean, but after an incident with her where he stole from her, which I'll get into that later on in the story, after that whole theft incident, Marlon's auntie sent him back to Virginia once again to live with his mother. So it's so sad that Marlon was, shuffled back and forth between living with his aunt, living with his mom, back living with his aunt, and then living with his mom again. And even in between that shuffling that he went through, he was in between foster homes as well. As he was getting older, going into his teenage years, Marlon was arrested in Petersburg, Virginia, and was placed in the custody of the Department of Social Services. And then he was placed in the custody of the Department of Youth and Family Services until he reached the age of 18. Later, during one of Marlon's trials, his Aunt Jean would testify on his behalf, stating that despite her nephew's past, he still was an inherently good person in her opinion. But that doesn't change the fact that as a juvenile, Marlon got into a lot of trouble. He was found guilty of burglary in Las Vegas, Nevada, following the theft of a camera and television set from the home of his aunt. And that was one of the crimes that I mentioned earlier. And also as a juvenile, he was found guilty of petite larceny, breaking and entering, unlawful wounding, and assault and battery. This was both in Virginia and, Vegas, where these different charges were brought against him. The unlawful wounding, assault, and battery charges, that came out of an incident that involved 2 other youth. And basically, the youths were harassing his sister, is what he would tell the authorities. But the authorities later found out that basically Marlon attacked those guys for teasing him and taunting him, and he actually threatened to kill the young men during the attack as well. When Marlon became a young adult, he got into a relationship in the early 90s with a woman named Tanisha. So when Marlon was a young adult, he got into a relationship with a woman named Tanisha Alston, and this was in the early 90s, like around 1992. The two began dating at that time, and she later moved in with him. Tanisha said that Marlon treated her very well at first, but after about a year into the relationship, he began assaulting her, and basically by 94, which is like 2 years later, she moved out.
I already knew it. I knew it was coming. He was kind of aggressive. You know what I'm saying? I was just waiting for his background.
Right. Crazy. But at least I will say for Tanisha to move out, because, a lot of times women will stay with the abusers, hoping they'll change, and they're waiting longer for the person to change, and they never do. But at least for her, it was a total of like 2 years. But as you'll see in a minute, unfortunately, that didn't really save him from doing what he did to her. So she moved out in June 94, right? In September 94, Tanisha was driving, and she passed Marlon and his roommate, Larry Baker. They were in another car. And Marlon was in that car and motioned for Tanisha to pull over, so she did. Now, the article doesn't get into the details as to why Marlon did this, but Marlon got out of his friend's car. He goes over to Tanisha's vehicle. They pulled over, mind you. He exchanged words with her, and out of nowhere, he began hitting and kicking Tanisha.
No.
He beat her so bad that she was knocked unconscious. And Tanisha said that she remembers waking up at the hospital. And I initially thought, well, wow, I'm glad someone pulled over and saw her and took her to the hospital or whatever, or, called the ambulance. But no, she got to the hospital via Marlon and his homie Larry.
Oh, heck no.
Right. After he beat her up and knocked her unconscious, they took her to the hospital. And
so his friend was there while this was happening.
Yeah, his homeboy was there with him.
Oh, yeah. Wow.
So when he took Tanisha to the emergency room, I guess she came, out of being unconscious or whatever. Marlon threatened her, and he told her, he said, "You better not tell anybody that I did this to you or I'm going to kill you." And then he told her, "You tell the people at the hospital that you got jumped by some girls, and then we came up and found you after the attack." And Tanisha actually followed Marlon's instructions because that's how scared she was.
I would have been scared too, but I don't know. I probably would have stitched on the low, but that's fearful.
Right. I probably would have tried to whisper that shit to a nurse or something like, wait a minute, you see that dude over there? The one who dropped me off?
Or I'll be like, can I get a maxi pad and I'll write it on the maxi pad? You know what I'm saying?
Right.
My cleverness.
Yeah. And I just want to let y'all know too that I didn't mention Tanisha as being the victim of the crime because she isn't. Like this is the beginning of the worst part to happen later.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So anyway, but after the incident in September, Marlon allegedly told his friend Larry, the same guy that was with him that day that they saw Tanisha, he told him that because Tanisha and her family, quote unquote, had money, he was planning to kill Tanisha's brothers, her mother, and her father on Halloween night of that year in hopes that the tragedy would make Tanisha commit suicide. And according to his friend Larry, they actually went and cased out Tanisha's family's home and decided to try to plan out the murders. Now, I don't know how Marlon was going to get whatever money from her if she would have killed herself. I don't know what all the backstory is on that because the article didn't get into all that detail. But Marlon later found out that Tanisha was staying with her 71-year-old grandmother, Virginia Parker. So instead of him going through with the plan to actually commit that massacre against her family on Halloween night, he decided that he was going to go to Tanisha's grandmother's house to finish what he had started earlier, when he beat up Tanisha or whatever. So on October 3rd, 1994, he went over to Miss Virginia Parker's home, which is Tanisha's grandmother. Around 11 p.m., Virginia woke up to the sound of someone breaking through her front door.
Oh my gosh.
She said a man was wearing a mask and he entered her bedroom. He hit her with his fist and he tried to smother her with a pillow and he slashed her throat.
Oh my gosh.
Oh, geez.
Yeah, this is crazy.
Wow.
So amazingly, Virginia actually, she was able to fight off her attacker and she was able to leave the home after the attacker fled. She went to her neighbor's house with a slashed throat to go and call for help because the attacker had pulled her phone out the wall. It was a landline, of course, back in the 90s. He had pulled her phone out the wall and she's over at her neighbor's house trying to call for help. They did go ahead and pick up Marlon for the charge. And the next year, on March 30th, 1995, Marlon did plead guilty to the assault charge and the battery charge for Miss Virginia. And I'm not sure why this happened, but there were some additional charges that came about in August of that same year, which was charges of burglary, malicious wounding, cutting and or wounding in the commission of a malicious crime. And all those additional charges were placed on him as well. So he went to jail for that particular crime. And during his stint as an inmate, while he was at the Chesapeake City Jail, Marlon assaulted a fellow inmate who was taunting him, telling him that he was going to fry. So another charge was placed on him in 1995 as well with the assault and battery of his jailmate. Pretty crazy.
I mean, how did he get to this point? Like, what is going on?
Right, exactly. All right. Okay, ladies. So for several months prior to the crime that was committed in November 1993, the connection between Marlon Williams and Clark Betsole is basically Marlon was a drug dealer and he used to sell cocaine to Clark. During the time of Clark purchasing drugs from Marlon, Clark had asked Marlon and some of his other friends about trying to hire someone or if they knew someone that he could hire to kill his wife. And during that conversation, Marlon agreed to kill his wife or his soon-to-be ex-wife, Helen Bedsole, for the amount of, you know what? Let me not say the amount yet. Can y'all take a guess at how much Clark offered Marlon to kill his wife? I just want y'all each to take just one quick guess.
$500.
Okay. What's your guess, Demetrius?
What Renee said, 500?
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to say a good 1,200.
Okay. It was a little bit more than that.
Oh.
He offered, not a lot more though. He offered this man $4,000 to kill his wife.
That's all right, like real low. Okay.
Yeah, I'm just like, oh my goodness.
Yeah, like you're risking to go to jail for $4,000.
$4,000. Right. And then so Marlon agrees to it, but let me tell you what Clark had the nerve to do. He agreed to pay Marlon $3,000 before the murder. And then was like, okay, after you do it, I'll give you the other $1,000 after the job is complete. Is this not a joke or what? Like, that is so terrible. It just would never, it blows my mind. I will never understand how people can put that type of value on a human life. But
so wait, that was his wife?
Yeah.
That was his soon-to-be ex-wife. They were going through a divorce.
Not even just on human life, just on your life, period. Like you giving your life up because I mean, if you get caught, you're going to jail forever, most likely.
Exactly. Right.
For that amount of money? No.
Exactly. And the alleged motive for the murder was that Helen was getting ready to basically get half of Clark's assets. Right. But then Clark was like, A, I don't want that to happen. And then B, he also figured he wanted to collect some insurance money that he had on Helen, which was worth a little more than $100,000, you know? So, I mean, to me, I guess back in the early 90s, that might've been a quote unquote a lot of money, but it's still sad that people just look at it like, that's what I'm going to do. And I'm actually going to get away with it. And a lot of times they don't get away with it. So stupid.
Right.
So yeah, after that whole thing was arranged on November 9th, 1993, so not too long after they had the whole conversation to plan everything out, Marlon actually left work early that day and returned to his apartment where he lived with two other men, his homeboy Larry, and also another guy named Ed Young. And a side note, I think I mentioned this earlier. I just want y'all to remember this part because I'll get into it a little later. But Larry was also a drug dealer. He only sold drugs part-time for a few years, but he eventually became a snitch. I mean, not a snitch. Sorry, ladies. Y'all know how I feel about snitches. He became a paid, he became a paid informant.
I'm telling.
and he would eventually be the one to actually help crack open the case for this crazy murder for hire plot. So
ain't nothing he need to help crack open. He part of it. You know it.
Well, yeah.
He know about. Okay, I'm sorry.
Yeah, he is a part of it, but it's almost like indirectly what you'll see.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. So on the morning of the crime, Marlon actually borrowed a bike and some clothes from Ed, one of his roommates. Then he also borrowed a Colt 380 pistol from Larry Baker, but without Larry's knowledge. So I use the word borrow lightly. Marlon rode a bike to Helen's home, and he actually got to her home probably around 5:00 p.m. So he got off work early, starts talking about, what he needed to get from these men. He told one of them what he was going to do, told the other one, or didn't tell the other one, and took his gun. And when he got to Helen's home around 5 p.m., he actually broke through her storm door. He went into the kitchen where she was standing, and he just shot her twice in the head, point blank, with the gun that he had stolen from his roommate, Larry.
Damn.
Isn't that crazy? Like point blank, like it's almost like she didn't even know what was gonna hit her. Helen had been living in Geneva Shores for just a few days when her new roommate, Jerry Jones, arrived at the dwelling with a truckload of furniture. She found that the front door was broken open and Helen was lying dead on the kitchen floor. Helen had been having
to go see that.
Right. Like you got a new person moving in with you. Y'all about to be roommates. Helen starting a new life. And when the roommate arrived, when Jerry got there, Helen had been dead for about 3 hours. And at the time, the motive wasn't clear, but the authorities knew that it wasn't theft because the killer didn't take anything from the home.
So this means it was personal.
Exactly. Right. So detectives, once they learned of the whole marital discord is what they called it, and they found out about the pending divorce proceedings, they immediately considered Clark Bedsole as their primary suspect. And as I stated earlier, he was also planning to gain something from a $100,000 life insurance policy. But at the time, Clark had an airtight alibi. Detectives investigated the case as a contract murder for hire, and they began looking for the hitman. So homicide investigators, they did catch a break in the case in 94 when an anonymous female caller reported that during a night of sex and cocaine with Clark, he confessed to her that he had paid his drug supplier, Marlon Williams, $4,000 to murder his wife. And he was already a suspect in the case, but the authorities just couldn't tie the two people together. So Clark's son had also seen 21-year-old Marlon talking with his father before and after his mother's murder. After Marlon shot and killed Helen, he left her house and he actually ditched the bike in a nearby wooded area. And then he traveled on foot to go meet up with Clark at his place of employment. After the two men spoke briefly, Clark gave Marlon a ride back to his apartment and dropped him off. And do you know this crime actually went unsolved for over a year? So even though Marlon did all of what he did, took other people's items. He ditched his bike in nearby woods. You know, it's like, I just can't even believe the crime went, because I guess I feel like I've covered so many of these with our podcast for the past couple months now. Yes. And I'm always thinking it's always the spouse is the number one suspect. Whether they're guilty or not is another question. But I'm trying to figure out how they overlook Clark. But anyway, over a year later, in November of 94, Marlon admitted to Larry Baker in a taped confession that he did kill Helen Bedsole at her estranged husband's request in exchange for that payoff of $4,000. And Larry, once he started to kind of figure out that his homeboy had something to do with the murder, he was a paid informant for some drug activity initially. And then it turned into him being the paid informant that would get his homeboy locked up for this crime. And so in addition to the taped confession, several other witnesses testified at the hearing as well. And basically, you know, with Larry's testimony, he said that Marlon told him that if the gun didn't jam, he would have actually shot Helen, not just 2 times, but 6 more times just to make sure she was dead.
That's cold-hearted.
Wow. It is. It really is.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. So as a result of this crime, Marlon was sentenced to death by lethal injection. And he did try to appeal his death penalty conviction in 96. But the Supreme Court rejected his appeal. Marlon's lawyer was trying to base the appeal on the abuse and the neglect that he suffered during his childhood, but that didn't work. Sherry Betsell, who was the daughter of the slain woman, she was 21 when her mother passed away.
Okay.
She said, quote, "I'm sorry that Dwayne had such a bad childhood, but for the last 6 years, what me and my brother have gone through would not excuse us to go out and kill someone." And she said, "He's getting what he deserves. And what he's put our family through for the past 6 years won't even compare to the 10 minutes of him getting his lethal injection."
Ooh.
And she also said about her father, "He's lucky he's not lying right beside him," end quote. And so the father, Clark Bedsole, was tried by a jury, and he also got a life sentence, but he was not sentenced to death. And his first eligibility for parole came up back in 2016, but he didn't get out of jail. And additional family members also commented. Ann Castle of Norfolk and Helen Betsel's sister-in-law said, quote unquote, "This excuse of abuse is just unreal because there are millions of adults out there who were abused and they never killed anybody. So no matter what the circumstances are, death is 100%. And 100% means he will never, ever hurt anyone outside of our prisons again." And that was in reference to Marlon. Oh. So, yeah, there were several family members that planned to view the execution. So at some point during Marlon's trial, when he was asked if he ever thought about the murder that he committed against Helen, and his only response was he thinks about how he could have actually gotten away with it. They also asked him if he ever felt sorry about the assault on his ex-girlfriend, Tanisha, and her grandmother. And Marlon said that although he eventually told Tanisha that he was sorry, he really wasn't sorry. And he added that as far as the murder goes, he was only pleading guilty to the charge of murder because he was guilty and he didn't want anyone else to be blamed for what he had done. So he had a weird demeanor about himself. And I guess that's what comes along with because people are abused when they grow up, right? Yeah. But everyone doesn't end up being a killer or, they don't end up being violent and things like that. No. But it was like he was stripped of his ability to have emotions. Like he can sit up here and say, well, I admitted to guilt because I don't want anybody else to pay for my crime. But then on this other situation, I'm not sorry, even though I said I was sorry. So yeah, that's it. So the last statement here that I want to say is that as the family watched the execution take place, they did note that Marlon, when he was walking into the chamber, he didn't have a final statement and he was shaking from the moment he entered the death chamber. And at the execution, one of the deceased woman's family members said that she was amazed at how humane it is, how clinical, yet how humane it is to,
that's true.
Yeah, to inject someone and have them pay for that crime. So my question is, do y'all think the husband should have received the death penalty too?
Oh, I hate using the death penalty because I like people to just...
Because he didn't actually kill.
He didn't.
With his hands.
But it was his thought. He executed it.
Let me tell y'all how I feel now that I've kind of finished telling y'all the background about the case. So how I feel about it is just because of the fact that the husband came up with the whole murder for hire.
Yeah, executed the whole.
I just kind of feel like he should have been given the death penalty as well because it was his idea. And if he had never put the idea out there, Marlon made a choice to accept the offer, right? So it's not to say that he wouldn't have eventually killed someone else, but I feel like he probably wouldn't have killed Helen if it wasn't for the fact that Clark came up with the idea. So I just feel like for that, he should have been given a death sentence as well, but that's just my opinion.
Yeah, I wouldn't want the other person to have a death sentence. I don't know, since he's the one who did it, but he was paid to do it, and I don't know. I can go back and forth on that one in my head on.
He could have chose not to do it, though.
That's true.
That's why I said he did make a free choice to say yes to it. I agree with that.
And I really think they both should have got it. I hate to say death penalty, but I mean, you wanted someone else dead, so I mean, you kind of reap what you sow.
Yeah.
Interesting.
But that case, it was just so much. But like I said, I had to give y'all the background on the actual criminal, because I know we all kind of do these cases and for different reasons. But one thing that I kind of feel like I want to know more about is what makes a person want to kill and murder. So I kind of wanted to dig into his background a little bit. And as you can see, it was a lot, I don't have sympathy for him. But because like I say, people get abused all the time and they don't always end up being murderers. So
true,
but I just feel like it sucks when people don't get the help and the resources they need while they're children, because it just becomes harder to rehabilitate people when they're grown and they're adults, so.
Yeah, because it's already embedded in you at that point.
Yeah, exactly. Yep. So that was sad. Feel bad for the kids, their mother being murdered by their father and all that kind of stuff. It really was sad to kind of dig into that case.
Oh, I tell you, greed, man, his greed. I mean, you at the end of the day, you didn't win. You didn't come on top. You didn't get the money that you wanted.
Exactly. None of that. So if y'all don't have anything else to ask or add to the case, I think it's time to close the book on the Marlon Williams case today, ladies.
All right.
All right. So our next segment is going to be missing persons. And at this time, I want to highlight the case of Asia Martin. And just to note, the details about this particular case are very vague. So I just kind of went off of the most recent article I found from the website ourblackgirls.com. And basically what it says about Asia is that on a spring evening in Hattiesburg, Mississippi on May 27, 2005, 19-year-old Asia Martin told her roommate that she was going for a walk. It was approximately 8:40 p.m. and Asia had just gotten off the phone with her ill mother shortly before she decided to leave out. When Asia left her home at the Robinson Place Apartments, the young woman never returned and she has not been seen or heard from since that time. A little background about Asia. She spent most of her youth in her hometown of Slidell, Louisiana, before she moved to Mississippi in 2003 during her junior year of high school. After graduating from Petal High School, Asia Martin enrolled at Pearl River Community College. And when her mother fell ill, she did decide to take a semester off. 3 days before her disappearance, Asia Martin purchased a bus ticket to visit her mother in Denver, Colorado. When it came time for her to depart, she never got on that bus. Authorities are convinced that Asia simply walked away and left her life behind. Her family, however, has said that Asia would never disappear without at least contacting them. Understandably, the family believes that something dangerous has happened to her. Since Asia went missing back in 2005, her mother has passed away, but her father is still alive, at least he was still alive at the time of this article being written, which was 2018. And at the time, he was definitely still awaiting to hear some news about what happened to his little girl. At the time of Asia's disappearance, she was 5'2" tall and she weighed 115 pounds. She has black/dark brown hair, brown eyes, and she's unable to bend her left pinky finger. Both of her ears are double pierced and her lower teeth are crooked. She goes by the nickname Nikki and has a medical condition that hasn't been specified in public reports. So anyone with information regarding Asia's disappearance is urged to contact the Flathead County Sheriff's Office at 406-758-5610, or you can contact your local authorities if you have any knowledge about the case of Asia Martin. And also, as always, I'll make sure I put some pictures up of Asia on our social media pages, Instagram and Facebook. So all right, sippers. So we're going to move into a lighter topic because we had that doozy of a case. We had the missing persons case. But before we close out today, I want to move into our next segment that we're going to call Messy Wind Down. This is where we'll talk about some hot topics, a little bit of gossip, a mixture of everything all in one. And I've got a good one for y'all today, ladies. Or at least I thought it was a good one.
Ooh, it's finna be messy. Let's go.
Look, figuratively and literally, okay? Ooh. All right, sippers and ladies. I have a question for you, ladies, okay?
I don't know.
And I want y'all to be honest.
Renee said, I don't know.
I'm scared.
Don't put on for the people either, okay? So, did she just try to call me out, Demetrius?
Demetrius quietly exits the room.
She didn't throw me under the bus, but she might have rolled over my little toe a little bit.
Oh, Lord. Okay.
So, all right. How often do the two of you bathe? And that can either be taking a bath or taking a shower. And I say don't put on for the people because we know a couple of us be home more than others or whatever. So
I bathe every day.
Okay.
That's what I can confidently say. I thought you were gonna ask me something else that was real quick.
I thought Renee had a whole book. I was gonna be waiting patiently.
No. I mean, I can get into a little bit more if you want me to, but
we're gonna get into a little bit more with the discussion.
Okay,
I just want to start with the question.
Yes, I do shower daily and I sponge bath. I guess if you're gonna say that, you get up and refresh yourself. You gotta refresh. Sometimes you gotta refresh.
You do whole baths?
I do whole
That's
bath.
what that would be.
You gotta spot clean.
Sponge bath.
You know what I'm saying? I don't want my hoo-ha to be hoo-ha and nobody. So I'm double checking the hoo-ha, girl.
So after your shower, you whole bath?
I mean, like it may be hours later, but I'm still gonna be like.
She's saying that she ain't gonna go no whole day, and somebody gonna be wondering, is it her that's stinking? So she said midday or whatever. She gonna take that little whole bath in between time. Or whatever.
Exactly, girl. My hoo-ha ain't gonna be hoo-ha nobody.
Well, listen, I ain't trying to get no extra points on the assignment for today, so I ain't gonna lie and be like I bathe 2 or 3 times a day or whatever, but once a day. And because I am home a lot. That once a day could be 8 o'clock in the morning. It could be 1 o'clock in the afternoon, and it could be at 11:58 p.m. But it's gonna be at least once a day for me, right?
Okay.
And I thought that was normal until I heard this interview between Ashton Kutcher and his wife.
Oh no, that's not normal. We're not gonna say that his stuff is normal.
No. I said what we do every day, bathing every day. I thought that was normal.
Okay.
Until and look, it's still normal. But what I was surprised about is because I said, after I heard the little uproar, especially with Black Twitter about this article, I said, let me go back and look at it and see what's happening because I feel like that's normal, right? At least once a day.
Yeah.
But when I heard other people chiming in, and a lot of them were not African American.
Oh, okay, well.
But they were kind of agreeing with, no, it's not necessary to bathe every day. So that just tripped me out. So anyway, Ashton and his wife, Mila, they did the interview at the end of July where they admitted to not showering daily. So when I looked it up, I wanted to just note here that to be more specific, not only did they admit to not showering daily, but they also admitted that they don't often wash their children with soap from head to toe.
Yeah, I saw that.
Mila Kunis also added that she does not use soap on her face. And she said, quote, "You shouldn't be getting rid of all the natural oils on your skin with a bar of soap every day. It's insane. Use water." And then her husband, Ashton, chimed in to show his support as any husband should. And he also added, quote, "I wash my armpits and my crotch daily and nothing else." He said, "I've got a bar
I bet you that rag stinks."
He said, "I've got a bar of Libra 2000 that just delivers every time and nothing else." So yeah, there's more. Because I really was just curious, and I'm reading this article. It was actually a pretty in-depth article because Mila even goes into her background and says that she does not have daily bath time for her children who are ages 4 and 6. She said, quote, "I wasn't the parent that bathed my newborns ever." And she blamed that on her upbringing in Ukraine, where she grew up without hot water. And as a result of that, she was disinclined to shower as a child. Even with that statement, Ashton chimed in to fully support his wife, which I love his energy, by the way. He's okay. I mean, I hate to say this, but I just feel like this is so nasty. And he just chimed in supporting the nastiness or whatever. But he said that kids only need baths when they're visibly dirty. So quote, "If you can see dirt on them, clean them. But otherwise, there's no point."
So that's just for white people though, right?
Well, that's not the disclaimer. He didn't give that disclaimer.
No, I'm saying when you see dirt, I mean, on Black or even Hispanic people that have little melanin, you're not going to see the same kind of dirt on them than you do little white kids, right?
Exactly. So, that would be true.
That's just nasty.
It is. Now, I can admit this. When my kids were infants, I was not bathing them every single day. But they were getting but they were getting like not a whole bath. What would you? Oh, I would say bird bath. Or exactly. So
I know Renee just labeled me a hoe. Get the hoe bath.
No, that's the name of the kind of.
That's the name of the concept.
That's what I call it.
Well, we'll use bird bath for you too, Demetrius.
Okay.
So I would bathe them, but I also in between time would do bird baths because I mean I'm on maternity leave. Like I'm taking care of myself, bathing myself and everything. But the baby's literally just eating, using the bathroom, going.
That's
to sleep.
What the doctors tell you. You don't have to.
They did. Okay, I don't remember.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Newborns is like like maybe every second or third day or something like that.
Okay. See, I don't even remember that being a thing, but I just know I can admit that because, they were newborns and so, babies do spit up, all that kind of stuff. You got to clean them up.
You got to wipe within their neck.
Yeah, exactly. But after a few months, I mean, that daily bath routine started after a few months for my kids and it continued on into high school and on into adulthood.
I'm about to say kids stink.
And if you ask either of my kids to this day, they'll let you know I never allowed them to skip no bath or shower day. Like, don't be coming up to me talking about, Mom, can we take a bath in the morning? Can we do this? Nope, you can take your bath at night. Like, especially with them young elementary years.
Like they're the ones that don't have deodorant yet.
Exactly. But, take your bath at night so you can get all sleepy and stuff. Get up in the morning, freshen up, and then as they got old, like middle school and older, they kind of whether they did it in the morning or the evening. That was the only debate we ever had. Because as they got older, I let them just decide. My whole thing was, but you're gonna take a bath or a shower. Like even now, when my son was home from college. He didn't even really go nowhere. He doesn't, move around a whole lot because he's just focused on school. But I could hear him taking like 2 showers in one day, and he don't even really be going nowhere. So when I heard that interview with them folks talking about whenever they see dirt,
that's just nasty.
Or I'm only like spot washing, like I'm only gonna wash this area.
And I just wonder,
that's crazy.
Like, are they still having sex when they're not washing?
My goodness. I'm glad you said it and not me because my mind did go there for a minute.
Ain't no way I let nobody up on top of me if I just did a whole bath. Like,
and I hate to say this, but can you imagine going into their room after they do have sex? I bet their room just
stinks.
Exactly.
The whole house probably just stinks. Sometimes that dirt get in you, that smells all up on your clothes and all up on the furniture, and it's just
exactly.
Oh, I know that mattress is nasty.
Oh my goodness.
They start sweating and stuff.
So disgusting in so many ways. Okay, but anyway, listen to this fun fact. And I'm calling it a fun fact, but I don't know how fun it really is, but it's something I didn't notice or know until I read this article. Okay. According to the Academy of Dermatology, they recommend that children between the ages of 6 and 11 only need to bathe at least once or twice a week because children in this age group may not need a daily bath. But they did note that getting muddy, playing in the lake, or getting sweaty are some good reasons to have a bath, but it's not harmful to let them go longer in between scrubbings. And the person who wrote this article, which I found on treehugger.com, the author of the article, they also said that being in a lake is the same thing as being in a bathtub, in their opinion.
Oh, okay.
Wait, what?
No. So
that's one thing I don't get. Like
that took me out. That absolutely. I don't
understand people who can like go not fishing, that can go swim in a lake. Like that disgusts me so.
First of all,
much.
I was gonna say the same thing. I don't even think
I will not let my
I've ever put my foot in a lake. like we go fishing and catching fish out of the lake is cool, right? But I am not going swimming in nobody's lake. Like, to me, lake water is always murky and dirty looking. It never looks clean. And it's not like the beach water where they say there's salt in there that kills whatever bacteria. I don't know how it's supposed to work, but it ain't like beach water, clear and pretty. Oh my goodness. So yeah, I just had to note that. I don't know what ethnicity the author of the article was, but I can only assume that they probably have a lot in common with Ashton and Mila.
I always think something might crawl up in my cavity.
You know,
when I'm in, like,
when you're in the lake.
Yeah, when I see lake and people in there, and I'm like, oh my God, you actually have your butt in that water?
Well, think about it. It reminds me of the movie scenes, and they jump in the lake. I'm like, dude, I hope y'all had a shower right after that scene.
Exactly. But even with like going to the beach, I feel like the sand gets everywhere too. Like I'm not really I love the beach, but I don't like to necessarily be swimming in the ocean water because of the sand. And even though sand is dirt, I don't know, it's something different about the lake water dirt.
Pretty dirt.
It's in my mind. So yeah, if there was a such thing. So, all right. Last part of this little tree hugger article. They also have in here that studies show that too much bathing strips the body and hair of its natural oils, sometimes leading to skin drying out and overproduction of new oil. And there's also a delicate ecosystem of microbes that exist on the skin, which I didn't know about that. You knew that?
No, I can see that, like overwashing, it can cause a problem because you're taking away some of your natural, stuff. But
yeah, I heard that part. But the whole microbes,
once a day, is still you need to wash your ass.
But did you know that microbes existed on our skin?
Yeah,
I didn't know that. Oh, okay. See, I didn't know that. There's a whole delicate ecosystem of microbes that exist on our skin, and daily scrubbing with soap water washes it away.
Yeah. And think about it, when you're outside, you touch things touch you, clothes, articles, when you go shopping, those have been touching foreign things that get on you. So yeah, it's a lot.
I guess I just didn't know it was microbes. I mean, I knew that I was washing off. In my mind, it's dirt that needs to be washed off of me. So whatever they call them, microbes, it just made me picture a whole bunch of little teeny bugs on me that makes me want to just bathe even more now. But that's how my mind kind of works when I read this article.
Well, don't ever examine your mouth. You're going to be really upset. So just keep. Sorry, microbiology.
I can imagine. Yeah. Make sure it's in your mouth. Like when they say, like if somebody bites you, you need to go to the hospital to get you a shot.
Yeah,
because they got all kind of germs and stuff that's in your mouth.
But we do so much with our mouths, and I guess that's a whole nother conversation for another day.
I've retired on many things entering my mouth.
You retired?
Yeah, sippers. That's for another episode.
But back to the microbes discussion. So when microbes are forced to populate instantly, that can result in a poorer balance with more of the smelly microbes, or it can create strong body odors. And so when I read that, I was thinking, man, I was wondering if that's what's happening with people who actually suffer from bad body odors, because I know of some people that have body odor, but they take baths and they take showers on a regular. I ain't gonna say on a daily, but at least on a regular. And I kind of was like, dang, if they're using soap and water and bathing, how in the world? But maybe that could be their problem.
Well, actually, some of it can be internal.
I know that part. I know that too, for bad breath as well.
Even for your skin, it's internal. That's why they say be careful what you eat, wash your food, fast food, all of that makes a factor.
But this doctor did say that Ashton and his wife, they're doing something admirable and smart with their children and themselves, and that more families would do well to actually copy the couple's approach. So he said that kids should be...
Sound like we're going back to Romans times up in here or something. I don't know.
Now, mind you, this particular doctor, he's been soap-free for years now. And he has spent years studying the unique relationship between those tiny microbe bugs and our bodies. Yeah.
Good for him, but I'm gonna stick to soap. I'm gonna use this soap and I'm sticking by.
Me too. I mean, and he said kids should be allowed more opportunities to play outside and get dirty as a way to strengthen their immune system.
I can see them getting dirty, but when they come in the house, they need to wash their ass.
And that parents should be in less of a hurry to sterilize their children and return them to a squeaky clean environment. But
I can see a balance. You need a balance of that, but still,
you're not getting in no bed in my house dirty. Right. But yeah, I just couldn't hold off on discussing that. I've actually been wanting to ask y'all about this situation and this article for a couple of weeks now, because the internet once they started buzzing about it,
yeah,
I was like, wait a minute. More and more people are confessing that they don't bathe every day. But like I said, most of the people that are in our category, African American or whatever, they said they bathe every day. That's a mess. But I'm gonna continue
play that either.
Yeah, I'm gonna continue with my bathing every day and buying all my different soaps, soaking in my tub and taking my showers because child. But anyway, do either of you have anything else to add to that particular discussion before we close out?
I'm almost speechless that is even a discussion of the Twitter land.
I'm gonna enjoy my shower. I'm gonna take the night before I'm gonna tell you that.
Exactly.
And go night.
Right. And I had a full-on routine with my kids. This is a tip to all the mothers and fathers who work and they have young kids. When my babies was probably like pre-K, I used to give them a bath at night. My babies didn't sleep in pajamas until the weekend because I put half their outfit on at night so I could just put the pants on and the shoes on after they, they freshen up, brush their teeth and face and all this stuff in the morning. But I had to get to work on time. I'm late everywhere, but I tried my best to not lose my job from being late. Okay. So yeah, and my husband traveled for his job back then. So a lot of times I was home with the kids by myself and getting them together in the morning by myself. So all the people that may have young kids out there, that's a way to still bathe your kids every day, but also cut down on your get ready time if you have to drop little kids off at daycare or preschool, kindergarten deal until they're able to help you a little bit more. Just want to put that tip out there. But all right, sippers and ladies, this concludes this week's episode of Sip and Unwine True Crime Podcast. Please make sure you follow us on all social media platforms so you can be the first to listen to our new episodes that post every single Tuesday. All right, ladies, it's been fun. I had a great time with y'all.
It has been fun.
We hate to leave, but we gotta go.
One closing statement.
Oh, go ahead.
Wash your ass. Wash your kids' ass.
Peace and thanks.
The world will appreciate it.
Oh, bye, y'all.
Bye, guys. Bye.